Welcome back to my channel here at Trades2G. My name is Sammy. Today we're going to take a look at Bitcoin. Before I go ahead and chart, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and join the Discord. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at a key resistance level on Bitcoin. It has multiple times it has rejected the 116,856 to the T. As you can see, candle structures hitting this trend line here and thus rejecting it. It never really broke out, had a fake out breakout hitting this macro trend line and then rejected back into this zone. Okay, so 115,400 is a key support. Junior support is all the way down at 114,706, guys. So we start breaking down 115,425 where she's at. We're coming down to 114,706. What I don't like to see on Bitcoin in terms of long term is that it's showing a little bit of weakness. Now we can tell that by the ADX, and it's clean to say that the ADX is not showing any strength to the upside. With 25 would be indicator like the momentum of the trade or the trend is continuation to the upside. But thus we're seeing that the ADX is sloping down. And worst of all is that the positive DI is also coming down with that. And then now you see that your negative DI, if you look at it very closely in terms of what potentially can form here, is that you are printing a inverted head and shoulders. And I mean by looking at it this way. If you look at the negative DI, inverted head and shoulders on the negative DI in the DMI indicator. So a lot of bearish sentiment is panning out right now on Bitcoin, and I don't like to see that, okay? A little bit of worrisome because at the end of the day, we had a massive bull run, okay? We never quite really exhausted to a certain degree where, you know, you get a certain Fibonacci level to get a nice key area bounce, like maybe the 302 or the 236. And if we just draw the Fibonacci level, see where price is rejecting or supporting, we see that the 236 is a key support area at 110 area. But if you notice, right, if we break below that, okay, 107.27 is another key support bounce. If we reject this line, we are printing a gravestone doji on the weekly chart as well, folks. On the weekly chart, we must really pay attention to that candle structure because everything right now is leading a little bearish on Bitcoin. That's a gravestone doji at the impulse on the weekly chart. There is nothing but bearishness breaking on my chart, and it's a little bit, again, it's showing that the move up was all catalyst news. You know, we got the Clarity Act and the Crypto Act going into effect hopefully by November, October. Okay, so that's what's driving all this momentum. Is a lot of FOMO is coming in. Like, okay, Trump is eventually going to get that sign, and once we approve, sure, we'll get another swing to the upside. But right now, there's just a lot of uncertainty right now. All right, this tells me a lot of uncertainty. And then we can't really break out of 116.856. There's no new liquidity jumping in here, and that's why I am seeing a lot of rejection in this zone, and that candle structure does seem to showcase that. And if I'm not mistaken, as we speak, I am seeing a little bit of divergence here. Let me just double check. Negative, so no divergence there. But again, the trend, at least in terms of the short term, has not ended. All right, we gotta really start making candle structures above the 116.856, get above that macro trend line, bearish trend line, and thus break into the upside. And I'm not seeing that right now. That was a clean rejection here on the 3-day chart. Look at this candle here, almost engulfing this one. But this is just very significant. It's a reminder, folks. We still have 6 hours to print this candle here, so it can go lower or it can completely go up. But right now, the MACD, even the MACD, it's mostly better when you see a trend. But when you start seeing like sideways where it wasn't really going downward and then another swing up, when you see like a sort of like a highway exit in the middle of a trend, okay, and then not really finding a move to the upside or downside, that tells me choppiness, sideways action, you know, and I don't like seeing that. I don't like seeing that because now there's pretty much a battle, a clean battle between the bulls and the bears. And guys, if we break below 114,706, okay, I'm sorry, but we might even come back down to test that 236 yet again. We have multiple touches here, but that 236 is a nice area of support. Let's go ahead and turn on our EMAs real quick. On our 3-day time frame, it looks good. We got the candle structures above the 5 EMA. It's finding support, and thus that's fine. If you notice, the EMA acted as resistance for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. This is a clean support. Now, obviously, this engulfing candle, I'm going to assume, was a news week or a couple of days of news. But right now, if we don't get anything going, guys, we lose this 5 EMA, break below the 5, 10, and 20. Guys, we're coming back down to 236, 110. Okay, we really got to push this narrative like, okay, is Trump really going to sign the bill? Is BlackRock buying up more Bitcoin? Okay, once the United States once United States clears path of this Clarity Act or the Crypto Act, okay, sure, we're going to get up here, but right now everything's in the limbo. Everything's in the limbo. So this also moves SPY. It literally moves SPY because a lot of companies are using Bitcoin as a treasury. So this is very, very important that Bitcoin sustains itself. Otherwise, markets are coming down as a whole. So Bitcoin is literally the quarterback, all right, the quarterback for the Eagles. And if the ball's not thrown correctly, this thing, it's going to fumble, and it's going to fumble bad. And we might lose the game. Okay? And obviously this is short term, but I am a little bit concerned on where Bitcoin's at. I'm not going to not financial advice. I'm not putting anything in the market right now. The only thing I'm holding is ADA for now. But in terms of, going long on anything right now for future outlooks, it's not giving me that bullishness. It's really not. So let's just continue to monitor this. I'll keep an eye on this. I'm a little bit worried about that Gravestone Doji on the weekly on top of that. Okay, look how it's trying to find support here at the 115.061. We haven't touched the 5 EMA, so I want to see a touch here. But look at that clean rejection off this macro trend line, off of this pitchfork in the tool. So I like what I see, but I like what I see in terms of pattern consistency. I don't like the candle structure. Okay, I don't like the candle structure. All right, and if you look at the RSI also on the weekly, look where the clean bounce was. Once we broke down, twice, and we bounced off the second area pivot. All right. First pivot, second area pivot, and look left, more left. All right, another pivot RSI, pivot to the upside. So if this rejects again, another pivot touch here would indicate that, hey, that would in line with, and let's double check that. I wouldn't say it's going to come down to the $84,000 range, but that's a significant large move to the downside. And obviously you may new higher up, so your new higher low is going to be printing, So I'm going to assume below 107.27. Okay, below 107, I would argue even the 382 would be a nice little area support bounce. 382 is a very strong bounce area. Once you have a stock or a ticker or ETF that has massive swing to the upside continuously, you normally see it's rare to see the 236 because those are like Palantir moves, not financial advice. But Bitcoin, if you get me back to the 382, man, that'll be a very, very nice clean bounce. If not, I see the 0.5, and thus, if you see my recent videos in the past, I have mentioned that this 20 EMA, if you look at support, let me show you guys. If you look at resistance support, once we broke below the 5 and the 10 EMA on the weekly, 5 and the 10, okay, look what happened. Price jacked down. Let me make it cleaner for you guys. Okay, it's just a nice little recap of my bearish sentiment. But the 5 and the 10 EMA broke down and candle structure fell for a couple of weeks down. But look at the bounce here on the 50 EMA and 50 SMA, folks. So the trend is very strong, and obviously it likes that 50 EMA and SMA. Look left, look left. So if we come back down, RSI, that pivot zone, I would argue it's going to be around the 382 or the 0.5, and that'll add confluence that where this price action will bounce more than likely is going to be at that 50 EMA SMA. So as price keeps printing, the EMAs and the 50 SMAs start printing, moving up, depending on the candle structure, and thus I would see confluence adding at the 382, 102, 102,000, and 298 at the 382. So stay vigilant. Obviously, we need to focus on looking at the trend and do not FOMO. Okay, wait for patterns to give you the sign. Wait for patterns to give you signatures. Wait for patterns to give you confirmation. Add confluence to your thesis. But right now, what I see on my chart, as of right now, it is looking very bearish. But it's okay. We can capture, in good faith, we can capture the 382 or a continuation bounce right off of the 17270 if we pass the Clarity Act and making path for crypto in the United States. So that was a quick TA on Bitcoin. Hopefully you guys like that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and join the Discord. Thank you, folks.